Is San Francisco 49ers do-it-all wide receiver Deebo Samuel the answer for the Houston Texans this offseason? The question is, of course, who's playing wide receiver behind Nico Collins? The Texans need to go through a variety of avenues to figure out who's going to fill out that wide receiver room, and Deebo Samuel is available. He requested a trade from the San Francisco 49ers, actually the second time in his time with the 49ers that he has requested a trade. He reportedly did it in the exit interviews with the 49ers, and he doesn't want to be in San Fran anymore should the Texans be in on the dynamic wide receiver from San Fran. Let's talk about the player. Let's talk about the price and ultimately figure out if it's a fit for the Houston Texans. So Deebo Samuel, a lot like when we talked about Cooper Kupp a few years ago, was one of the best wide receivers in the world, was one of the best players in all of football. His 2021 was absolutely incredible. He was fantastic. He was an all-pro. He was great. And then from there, there's been some pretty nice moments for Deebo Samuel, but 2024, not one of his best seasons. In fact, it's his worst healthy season of his career, including his rookie season. Now, of course, his second year in the league, he had injuries, and those numbers didn't stack up. But as far as seasons where he played about 15 or so games, this was the worst season he's played in his NFL career. And he got about as many touches as he did the previous year, but his yards were down. His rushing yards were down. His receiving touchdowns were down. His rushing touchdowns were down. The dynamic ability of Deebo Samuel just wasn't as prevalent for the 49ers. Now, overall, it was a pretty down year for San Francisco as a whole, and there were some other players on the team that had down years compared to what they usually bring to the table. But when you're a wide receiver that just turned 29, that has actually a lot of wear and tear on you because the 49ers don't use you in a traditional way, it becomes a little bit of a concern with Deebo Samuel's production. Again, the same amount of opportunities and a significant drop-off in the performance. I mean, you look at some of the receiving numbers, and his yards per game dropped by 15 yards. His rushing success dropped by 20%. His yards per attempt got cut in half, basically. Like, he just did not have a very good 2024. That's okay. Guys have a little dip in their season. They could still be a productive player. And Samuel wasn't the happiest guy in the world in 2024. I mean, you remember when he got into it with his teammates on the sideline when the idiot kicker couldn't make a kick in the game, and he grabbed the long snapper by the throat, and as he kind of shoved him away, he kind of hit the kicker. There's a little sideline scuffle, and hey, the Texans have a kicker that always makes his kicks, right? And Deebo wouldn't be a problem. They're not. But again, that's something that maybe was a one-off. It's not always, something with Deebo Samuel, except after a win when he tweeted about touches and he wasn't getting enough touches. And again, he got about the same amount of touches that he did the previous season, but he wasn't getting enough touches, and he tweeted about it after a game. And that's not good because a guy that was way less talented than Deebo Samuel was worried about his touches after a win, and he got shown the door. Remember when Deontay Johnson was here for about 2 weeks? I do, because I thought he was going to be much better than that. Ultimately, he wasn't. But yeah, Deebo Samuel's mood mentality, perhaps that's not exactly what the Texans want to bring in to what they're building. Culture is important, and you can have an exception here or there. The exception would be for a player that has a extreme star potential. I don't know that Deebo Samuel has that anymore. As far as the actual player fitting with the Texans, well, new offensive coordinator Nick Caley would have a lot that he could do with Deebo Samuel. You could line him up at a variety of wide receiver spots, obviously line him up in the backfield from time to time. You can hand him the ball more than you can a typical wide receiver because of his ability to make things happen with the ball in his hands. But just because a guy's versatile doesn't mean that you should do all of those things. Maybe doing too much with Deebo Samuel over those years has led to the decreased performance when he has got those opportunities. But when you think about the type of people that are available in free agency, getting a rookie ready, a veteran who's had experience and an offshoot of what the Texans have been running and what the Texans could be running as an offense, it gets to be a little bit intriguing. And the price is certainly intriguing for Deebo Samuel as well. No significant commitment to go and get Deebo Samuel. The 49ers are the ones that are in trouble here. They got to eat the dead money. They got to worry about that. The Texans, a very small commitment to probably go and get Deebo Samuel. Might just take that 5th round pick for the price to go get Deebo Samuel. And if it's just a 5th round pick to bring in Deebo Samuel for 1 year and just kind of find out what he can bring to the table, it's a little bit more of an intriguing situation, wouldn't you say? I mean, Deebo Samuel on an unguaranteed contract, trying to show off and showcase what he can bring to the table in an opportunity-filled position that the Texans could put him in. It kind of feels like, Stefon Diggs after he adjusted his contract last year. Diggs got here with the Texans. They turned it basically into a 1-year deal. If Diggs shows off, he goes into free agency, gets a big fat contract, goes somewhere else, or the Texans extend him. Same thing with Deebo Samuel, who, again, just 29 years old, still has dynamic moments and elements to his game. And on that 1 year of non-guaranteed money, you'd think that Deebo Samuel would be on his best behavior, hoping for a big contract at the end of the year from the Texans, or be able to walk in the free agency and get a big contract from someone else after showcasing what he could do in Houston, which would be his second team in the NFL. But then there's also that thing where, hey, he was worried about touches in the midst of a season and worried about touches after a win. He might be worried about touches in a contract year as well. The money, again, the Texans can move some things around financially to make the money fit from that standpoint. Deebo Samuel will be about over $17 million, not quite $18 million in non-guaranteed money that the team would be responsible for that trades for him. So that's, again, adding to the price. Ultimately, does he fit? When you look at the various options around the league from a free agency standpoint, from a trade off of another team's standpoint like Cooper Kupp, or just drafting a couple of wide receivers in a somewhat deep wide receiver class, I don't think I'm in on Deebo Samuel. I'm actually way out on Deebo Samuel. Complaining about touches after a win, I can't get on board with that. I just can't get on board with that. I don't believe D'Amico Ryans would be on board with that. And I know the thought process would be if he gets his way, he's out of San Francisco and he's on a new team, maybe that would change. But if it's a contract year, he's going to want those touches. I just can't get with it. The production dipped enough to the point where I'm out on Deebo Samuel, even with the small draft pick commitment to go and get him, even with the not costing that much money. I'm out on Deebo Samuel. Are you in? Are you out on Deebo Samuel? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out SNL with myself and Landry Locker from the Locker Room each and every weekday, 4 p.m. It's when we get going over on the SNL channel. Subscribe to that SNL channel so you don't miss out on anything. We'll have tons of stuff for you because the off season is officially here. Super Bowl is over. It's draft time. It's free agency time. It's player movement time. It's build hope for 2025 time. And we'll be talking about everything that the Texans do on the SNL channel, over in the Locker Room, and right here on this channel. So appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon.